Kelly Tinley. I'm the Executive Director of Rock Bottom Ranch.
And I'm Tesne Davis, and I'm the Spiritual Director at the ranch. And we'd like to just share how we got together and started this ministry. It's got a whole lot of interesting stories.
Yes. So Rock Bottom Ranch, for those of you who don't know, it's a transitional home for women exiting incarceration. And we're a 12-month program. Our girls usually come out of jail or prison who struggle with addictions of all sorts. And we really focus on relationship with Christ in particular. And so for our first edition of our new podcast, we wanted to talk about our relationship and how Tesne and I came to know each other, how we met, and how the seeds of the ministry started.
Mm-hmm. I'd been going into the jail in Anderson County for the past 20 plus years, just going in and sharing Jesus, having a little church with them and doing Bible studies. But I kept seeing the same women every time coming back over the years, and it just broke my heart, and just wanting to see what possibilities there would be to just do something for women when they got out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where Kelly came into my life.
Right. So Tesne has always been a strong Christian. Let's just be honest, right? You were raised strong Christian. You and Dick have kind of been in ministry your whole life. Mm. And I did not come from that background, really. And so I struggled with addiction throughout my whole adult life. I had extended sobriety, and in my sobriety, I got an education. I got bachelor's degree in psychology and a master's degree in social work. But I addiction doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care if you're educated or if you're married or rich or poor or white or black. And I fell back into addiction. And I had been living in Arizona. And I kind of knew something had to change. And so I had an opportunity to move here to Texas. And I took the opportunity. Me and my son moved here to Palestine, Texas. And I knew when I got here that I had to make some drastic changes in my life. And so I knew that that I was missing the Lord. You know, I was raised in the church, and I definitely had a relationship with him, but I had strayed far, far from him in my addiction. And so when I came back to the Lord, I started going to church at Evangelistic Temple. And just so happens, that day at church, the pastor was talking about the new classes, the new Wednesday night classes that were starting. And so I went to the worship or the information desk, and the women's class that Wednesday was going to be on The Armor of God by Priscilla Shirer. And I immediately knew that was the Lord speaking to me. When I had been in jail and a couple of years earlier and had been in the Word, because that's what addicts do when they go to jail. They lean in. When you're in timeout, you kind of reflect a lot, right? So that was one of the scriptures that I really was touched by. And it was kind of the first time that I started looking into spiritual warfare, really. And so one of the first people I met in that Bible study was Tesne. Do you remember?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So I was the only new person in the whole Bible study. And it's a little town. Everyone knew each other. And so they were being really sweet. And they're like, oh, well, let's just all introduce ourselves. So everyone introduced themselves, and it came to me. And I said, hi, my name's Kelly. I'm an alcoholic.
I remember
and
that.
I thought, oh my gosh, this is the wrong group. I was so embarrassed. And everyone was so sweet. They're like, oh. she's so vulnerable. She's so honest. And I'm just thinking, no, she's so stupid. What is she doing, you know? But after that, Tesne, you came right up to me.
Yeah, I
And
remember because I kept thinking, oh my, she's just the woman I need on our team to go
Yeah.
into the jail.
yeah,
And so we talked, and
Yeah.
she said, what have I got to do to come in? And I said, well, just go to Brother Danny and get you a credential saying, you know, you're free to come in and share with the women the gospel. And so that's the first thing that you set about to do.
yeah. It took me, I can remember, it took me a little while to be obedient because I did not have great experiences in jail, you know, and I still had a lot of fear. And to be honest, I still had, you know, things that I needed to clean up. But the more I studied the Word with y'all and got to know you, the Lord just put it on my heart so strong to go in. And that, honestly, that Bible study, I have no doubt, was one of those turning points in my life. You know, it really changed my life. And I met some of the strongest women in that Bible study. And so many of them are part of the ranch today.
Yes,
you
they
know,
are.
teaching, volunteering there and whatnot. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I like to have like little tea parties every now and again just to get women together and fellowship and chit chat and just to encourage them in ministry. And so I invited Kelly to come to one of my little teas and we started talking, and over a period of time we started thinking we got to do something. We got to do something for the women coming out. And so that's when we started pursuing it and looking into maybe properties that would be available. I mean, we didn't have a clue what we were doing, but we just stepped out in faith.
Absolutely. So I had some experience working in treatment centers, rehabilitation centers, recovery homes, and that sort of thing. And probably, if I'm going to be honest, at that point, I was probably looking at it from the business model more than anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, we can do that and charge for rent and more of the secular view still at that point. And it was just, the Lord knew exactly who I needed. And so when we found that first property, oh my goodness. And we wanted that home so bad. And we just knew that was the Lord's will for us. And Tesne would take me marching around that house.
We're going to claim it.
Yeah. And we pray over that property. And doors just kept closing.
Yeah.
You know, nothing really was going with the ministry. Nothing really was changing. We, of course, didn't have any money.
Oh, not a dime.
No. But it just so happened, so that property was Joyce Green's. And it was the house on Court Drive.
Yeah.
And so the ministry, Joyce Green's ministry, Be Fruitful and Multiply, they had another property. And so we had been directed to go look at it. It was way bigger.
Oh,
way bigger than we wanted.
Much bigger. Yeah.
And I can remember there was a good 6 months in between realizing that the house that we wanted wasn't going to happen and actually looking at the my father's house.
Yeah.
And that we kind of sat back and just prayed and just waited for more wisdom, I think. Don't you think?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it's like God was saying, you gotta dream bigger.
Yeah.
You need a bigger dream. You need a bigger dream because I've got bigger things for you. And it's like, you know, sometimes we get in a rut and we just have a narrow vision. And God's saying, no, I want to expand.
Yeah.
And so when we saw the property out on 287, it's like, oh my.
Yeah.
Yes.
From the moment I saw it the first time, I knew it was perfect. I knew it was perfect. And it had already been used for a men's ministry, like a halfway house. And so the layout of it was ideal of
Perfect.
what we would want. And it, although it needed a lot of work,
Oh my.
it was still turnkey kind of place, right?
Yeah.
And it's amazing how when you put your trust in the Lord and you step out in faith, like you were saying, how things just end up falling into place.
Completely like a jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah.
It's like you take this piece and you pop it in, and before you know, you can see the picture developing. And I think that's really been our story, our beginning story of everything seemed to fit.
Yeah.
At the right time, different things would happen and take place. And
Yeah.
I remember Joyce years ago, Joyce Green and I having a conversation, and I remember me sharing my heart with Joyce at the time and wanting a property, and she said, "Don't." It's funny because when I think we're in her property,
Yeah.
she said, "Don't take the first thing that you think is from God."
Yeah.
And look where we are.
Yeah.
We're right in her property.
Absolutely.
I think back home, but that was God right then.
Yeah.
That was him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe how much has happened in the last 3 years. It's really more like four.
That's right.
4+ years. I can remember before we had the home, and I mean, we were just itching to help anyone.
Yeah.
And we'd take blankets and jackets and coats out to homeless people in the community.
Go to
and
Tent City and
Yeah.
take food down to Tent City and
take
feed
people to treatment,
Yeah.
knowing that, just giving people encouragement that there is a way out. There's a way out. But so many of these girls, I mean, when we see them in the jail and they get that plan and they think it's going to be different this time. Everything's going to be different, and it's not. It's the same old, same old. Until things change, nothing changes.
Nothing changes.
So, because of COVID, we didn't get in the jail for quite some time.
Yeah.
And now, just 3 weeks ago,
Yeah.
we started
back.
being able to go back in.
Right.
And it takes me back. It's very nostalgic. Not only because it's been a while, but because the same girls that we saw
Are
3 years ago
there.
are still there.
Yes.
And not still. I mean, I haven't been there for 3 years. But a lot of the same girls are cycling through again. And it just shows me how badly this ministry is needed.
Yeah.
COVID has done such a number on communities, our country, with addiction skyrocketing, suicide rates, depression, everything. So
It's heartbreaking.
it is. It's heartbreaking. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely is.
So when we, so this is the sticky area, huh? When we found my father's house, we didn't have any funds. Like, we went into this whole thing just knowing that God wanted us to work with women, give them a place to heal, grow, form relationship with the Lord, right?
Yeah.
But we had zero idea of how that was going to look, right? Or how were we going to accomplish that? And so I think one of the most awesome things was his first kind of gift to us.
Oh, definitely.
In order to make that happen.
That kind of sealed it in a sense.
Yeah.
When I think, it was like, okay, I'm opening up this for you.
Yeah.
And he did. And it was almost like a promise. Okay, like an engagement ring. Thinking of it, it was almost like an engagement ring. He said, okay, this is my promise to you. I will provide.
Yeah.
I will be Jehovah Jireh. I will provide for you. You just trust me.
Yeah.
And that's really the essence of our story, really, is learning to trust as we take a little step. It's like, okay, a little bit each day.
Yeah.
No matter what, whether it's, I don't know,
Yeah.
a leaky faucet that needs fixing or a toilet or something, and somebody shows up and fixes it.
Yeah. Just really trusting that he will provide. It is it's something that I've always relied on myself or my husband or and I think I grew up with my mother pushing that you have to be self-sufficient. You have to make a name for yourself. You have to get an education and we all kind of in America. I mean, that's really an American dream. You've got to be self-made, and you've got to have the house and the 2.5 kids and the 2 cars and always working to have more. And I think that being at the ranch, running the ranch, has showed me that the things are not important at all. It's not what can I acquire, right? It's how much love do I have to give? What can I share? I don't know. Does that make any sense?
Oh, a lot of
to
sense.
you?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because even though it's been a sacrifice, I feel fuller and I feel more satisfied than I think I ever have in my whole life.
Yeah. Well, I can see you've grown in the last couple of years. I've seen you. This woman is so precious to me. She's really growing in the Lord and learning to trust Him.
And I think we all have learned so much from the girls.
Oh yes.
You don't. You kind of go into it thinking that you're the helper, and then when you learn that you're also the helpee, you're also the one receiving, is a wonderful part of the ministry.
Well, it's like a parent-child relationship. It's like you're the parent, and so you're pouring into this kid, and then suddenly that child is teaching you things, and you're looking back and thinking, "Oh wow, did he say that, or did she do that?"
So, Tesne, we talked about how I got here as far as being in recovery and being an addict who struggled her entire adult life. But how did a sweet little lady from Wales, such as yourself, end up going into the county jail to do ministry?
Well, that's a good question, because I'll tell you, I was teaching kindergarten, actually. I was teaching kindergarten for Palestine Christian School. My children they were students there, and they were in the high school. And Danny Rodriguez wanted to do a mission trip with the kids and take them down to Guatemala and have that mission experience.
Yeah.
So, okay, but he needed chaperones. He needed some teachers to go with him. So I volunteered. And, we went down there. The kids did dramas and, different ministry things in the streets. And we were invited to go to a correctional unit for youth.
Okay.
And we went there, and there were kids from 8 years old to 20. And when we were coming, it was appalling, but that's another story. But when we were coming back in the van, I almost like I heard that scripture, that says, and when I was in prison, you visited me.
Yeah.
And it was almost like a jab, somebody hitting you in the elbow and saying, okay, what are you going to do with this? And I'm thinking, what do you mean, God? And so as I prayed about it, I realized what God was saying is, I want you to go in the jail.
Yeah.
I want you to minister. And I'm thinking, me? But, I don't, I've never, I'm, you're really not thinking, that little Tesne could go in. And he said, yeah. Okay, well, how do I get started? So I pursued to find out if there was already, a group going in the county jail. And lo and behold, Danny Rodriguez, they had a ministry in the church that women went in. And so I just signed up and said, okay, I think I'd like to go in the jail.
Yeah.
And preach or teach or do whatever. And that was the beginning for me. And
Had a heart for...
the women, they broke my heart.
Yeah.
In fact, a couple of times my husband and I felt led over the years to take women in because they had nowhere else to go. And one woman in particular, I think about her, and I think how she came to Christ on the floor in the county jail, in my arms, weeping, that she wanted something different when she got out. And I think about her often, especially now because she's gone home to be with Jesus. She was in a car wreck, and so she did. It's like she impacted my life in such a deep way. Yeah. And it's having a passion for them. It's not just feeling good because I'm doing something, for God, but it's like, whoa, that could be me. Yeah. That could have been me if I, had gone down the path.
So it's happened countless times when we've either been out somewhere or someone's come to volunteer at the ranch, or someone that I know that's in recovery who has said, Miss Tesne changed my life. Mm-hmm. Do you remember that time we were in Athens after doing interviews at Henderson County, and the gal, I don't remember how she did it, but she said excuse me or something to get you to talk, and when she heard your accent, she goes, I knew it was you. But you had gray hair now instead of red, and so she wasn't sure if it was you until she heard your voice. Yeah. And she was sitting there in this restaurant with all of her kids and talked to us about how her life has changed as a direct result of your work with her in the jail and coming to the Lord. Yeah, I can think of multiple people that have told me the story about meeting you in jail and how you impacted them.
It's humbling. It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, God's good. He's faithful.
He is.
Yeah.
He is.
I don't know.
So as much fun as we've had in the jail working with the women, I think that there's no way that we could have done all of the ranch, just the two of us.
No.
And it's amazing how the Lord kind of formed our team. And so as we're wrapping up this first episode of our podcast, next episode we're going to have Lori Wolf and Nima West, who are the other two founders, and kind of how our relationships intertwined with them, and how the whole thing just quite literally fell together in a matter of weeks.
Yes.
From the idea to, oh my gosh, we have a building now.
Yes.
What are we going to do? How do we make this work?
I know.
And every step of the way, the Lord has been faithful and really guided and directed us in it. Huh.
I don't want to steal somebody else's story, but I remember when we were in the lawyer's office and we were signing the papers and we were nervous.
Oh, yeah.
So nervous, feeling, wow, this is going to definitely change our lives.
Right.
And it is. Every day it's changing us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's fun.
It is.
It's fun and it's exciting.
Yeah.
It's fulfilling and it's rewarding, that's for sure.
That's right.
So, this has been fun too. And I'm excited to be being able to get out and talk about the ranch. As a nonprofit, one of the biggest struggles that we have is funding. And it's also one of my least favorite things to do is to ask for money, but that's how we fund the home. We we're a Christian home, and we do not take government grants and state grants. We don't take any money from the government. So we have some faithful partners and churches around the community and individuals around the community. But we are always reaching out, looking for ways to do fundraising and opportunities. And so if you're interested in anything that we're doing and you would like to be part of it, there's all sorts of ways that you can be part of helping the ranch. Obviously, you can be a financial partner, a supporter. We have monthly contributors who have pledged to give, X amount each month, even $25 a month. It helps so much because we can kind of budget with knowing how, if we have pledges coming in. We also have tons of volunteer opportunities. If there's something that you think that you can contribute to the ministry, we would love to hear from you. We would love to partner with you in the future, right?
Yes, from the kitchen to the store where you can sort clothes.
We have such big dreams and such big plans to share with y'all. It's really difficult not to just let it all. I mean, I could sit here and talk for hours.
I know I could.
About what's happened over the last 3 years and what do we hope to happen in the next 5 years, really.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
So, tune in next time.
Yeah.